The trading ship Celestial Dawn drifted through the Kepler corridor, its hull scarred from countless jumps through hyperspace. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, watching the star charts scroll past on her display. After 15 years of deep space trading, she thought she had seen everything the galaxy could offer. She was wrong. The distress signal came through on an old frequency, one barely used anymore except by the most remote colonies. Sarah frowned as the crackling transmission filled the bridge. "This is colony ship Harmony requesting immediate assistance. Our children. They're crying. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help with our cultural crisis. The winter celebration approaches and we have no way to." The signal cut to static. Sarah's navigator, Lieutenant Tors, looked up from his console with confusion written across his dark features. "Captain, that signal is coming from the void sector. According to our charts, there's nothing out there but empty space and a few dead systems." Sarah studied the coordinates. The void sector was notorious among traders and explorers. Ships that ventured too deep rarely returned, and those that did spoke of strange phenomena that made navigation nearly impossible. Space itself seemed twisted there, as if the laws of physics bent in ways that human minds couldn't fully grasp. "Set course for those coordinates," she ordered. "We're going to investigate." Tors hesitated. "Captain, company policy states that we avoid the void sector. The insurance won't cover us if something happens out there." "There are people in trouble, Lieutenant. We don't abandon distress calls, no matter where they come from." Sarah's voice carried the authority of someone who had made similar decisions countless times before. "Besides, we're ahead of schedule on this run. We can spare a few days." The Celestial Dawn changed course, its engines humming as they pushed toward the unknown. As they traveled deeper into the void sector, Sarah noticed something strange happening to their navigation systems. Stars that should have been in fixed positions seemed to shift and dance. Hyperspace jump points that existed on every chart simply weren't there when they arrived. 3 days into their journey, they found the source of the signal. The colony ship Harmony was massive, easily 10 times the size of Sarah's trading vessel. It hung in space near a planet that didn't appear on any star chart, a world covered in swirling purple clouds with 3 small moons orbiting close to its surface. The ship itself was ancient, built in the old Earth style from before humanity had mastered efficient space travel. "They've been here for generations," Tors whispered as he studied the readings. "That ship launched from Earth over 200 years ago." Sarah opened a communication channel. "Colony ship Harmony, this is Captain Chen of the trading vessel Celestial Dawn. We received your distress signal and have come to assist." The response came quickly, filled with relief and desperation. "Captain Chen, thank the stars someone heard us. This is Administrator Kex of the Harmony Colony. Please, we need to meet with you immediately. Our situation is unique." An hour later, Sarah found herself in the docking bay of the Harmony, surrounded by beings that took her breath away. The colonists weren't human. They were tall and graceful, with 4 arms and skin that shimmered between blue and silver. Their large eyes held an intelligence that seemed ancient and wise, yet there was something unmistakably childlike in their expressions. Administrator Kex approached her with movements that flowed like water. When he spoke, his voice carried musical undertones that made Sarah think of wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Captain Chen, I cannot express how grateful we are for your arrival. I am Kex, leader of the Zeraphim people. We have been stranded in this sector for 3 of your generations." Zeraphim? Sarah had never heard of the species, which was unusual given her extensive travels through known space. "We are what you might call refugees," Kex explained as he led her through corridors filled with beautiful crystalline artwork. "Our homeworld was destroyed by a dying star long ago. We purchased this colony ship from your people and set out to find a new home. But something went wrong during our journey." They entered a vast chamber that served as the ship's central hub. Hundreds of Zeraphim moved about their daily tasks, but Sarah immediately noticed something that broke her heart. Scattered throughout the chamber were smaller Zeraphim, clearly children, and they were all crying. The sound was unlike anything Sarah had ever heard. It wasn't the wailing of human children, but rather a melodic sobbing that seemed to resonate through the ship's hull itself. The adult Zeraphim moved among the children, trying to comfort them, but nothing seemed to help. "This is why we called for help," Kex said, his 4 hands gesturing helplessly toward the crying children. "They have been like this for weeks now, ever since they learned about your human winter celebration called Christmas. Christmas? Sarah was confused. How do they know about Christmas? Kex led her to a section of the chamber where a group of Zeraphim children sat around a display showing images from Earth's history. Sarah recognized the pictures immediately. Snow-covered houses, families gathered around Christmas trees, children opening presents, and of course, Santa Claus in his red suit. We maintain cultural databases from all the species we encounter, Kex explained. Our children study other civilizations as part of their education. When they discovered your Christmas traditions, they became obsessed. One of the children, no bigger than a human 6-year-old despite having 4 arms and that shimmering skin, looked up at Sarah with tears streaming down her face. When she spoke, her voice was like a tiny bell ringing. Are you from Earth? Do you know Santa Claus? Why won't he come to our world? Sarah knelt down to be at eye level with the child. What's your name, sweetheart? I'm Zira, the little one replied. I've been so good this year. I helped my parents with their work and I learned all my lessons and I was kind to my friends. But Santa Claus doesn't know where our world is. He can't find us because we're lost in the space that doesn't make sense. The pure heartbreak in the child's voice made Sarah's chest tighten. She looked up at Kex, who seemed equally distressed. They don't understand why Santa Claus only visits human children, Kex said softly. In their innocence, they believe that being good should be enough to earn his attention, regardless of species. When they realized that Christmas was approaching and Santa would not be coming to our world, they began this crying that will not stop. Another child tugged on Sarah's sleeve. Please, Earth Lady, can you tell Santa where we are? We wrote letters to him, but we don't know how to send them. Our world doesn't appear on any maps, and the space around us is all twisted up. Sarah stood up slowly, her mind racing. She looked around at the dozens of crying children, all of them clutching handmade drawings of Santa Claus and Christmas trees. The adults watched her with hope in their eyes, as if she might have some solution to their impossible problem. Kex, can you show me your navigation systems? I want to understand exactly where we are. They made their way to the ship's bridge, where Sarah studied the Zeraphim navigation displays. What she saw defied everything she knew about space travel. The colony ship wasn't just lost in normal space. It was caught in some kind of dimensional fold that made it nearly impossible to locate from the outside. Your ship's hyperspace drive malfunctioned 200 years ago, she realized. You didn't just get lost in normal space. You ended up partially phased into subspace, existing in a pocket dimension that occasionally touches normal reality. Is that why our distress signals rarely reach anyone? Kex asked. Exactly, you're broadcasting from a dimensional fold. Most ships would pass right by without ever detecting you. Sarah paused, thinking hard. But that also means... She trailed off, an idea forming in her mind that was so audacious it made her laugh out loud. Captain, Kex looked concerned. I need to ask you something, and I want you to think carefully before you answer. How important is it to your people that these children have their Christmas? Kex's expression grew serious. Captain Chen, you don't understand. In our culture, the happiness of our children is considered sacred. When they cry like this, it affects our entire society. We feel their pain as if it were our own. If we cannot find a way to bring them joy, our whole community suffers. Already, our adults are beginning to fall into despair. Sarah nodded. She was beginning to understand something about the Zeraphim that their translator programs couldn't convey. They weren't just a species that cared about their children. Their emotional well-being was somehow connected to their young in a way that went beyond normal parental love. What if I told you I might have a solution? It would be dangerous, and there's no guarantee it would work. We would try anything, Kex said immediately. Sarah walked to the observation window and stared out at the twisted space around them. In the distance, she could see the Zeraphim homeworld, a purple jewel hanging in space that existed somewhere between dimensions. I need to contact my ship, she said finally, and I'm going to need your help with something that's never been attempted before. Back on the Celestial Dawn, Sarah gathered her small crew in the ship's conference room. Besides Tors, there was Chief Engineer Murphy, a grizzled veteran who could fix anything that broke in space, and Dr. Patel, their medical officer who doubled as a xenobiologist. Let me get this straight, Murphy said after Sarah explained the situation. You want to modify our hyperspace drive to broadcast a signal that will reach Earth. through a dimensional fold during Christmas season so that someone there can coordinate a gift delivery to alien children who believe in Santa Claus. That's the basic idea, yes. Dr. Patel looked thoughtful. The emotional connection between the Seraphim adults and children is fascinating. From what you've described, they might actually die of grief if this crisis isn't resolved. Their physiology seems to be wired for collective emotional experiences. So we're not just talking about disappointed kids, Torres said. We're talking about the potential extinction of an entire species because they can't understand why Santa doesn't visit alien children. Exactly. Sarah activated the room's display, showing the technical specifications of the dimensional fold around the Seraphim homeworld. But here's the thing. Christmas isn't just about Santa Claus. It's about hope, generosity, and the idea that magic can happen when people care enough to make it happen. Murphy leaned back in his chair. And you think we can be that magic? I think we have to try. Sarah looked at each of her crew members. The modifications to our hyperspace array would be risky. We'd essentially be broadcasting our location across multiple dimensions, hoping that someone on Earth receives the message and understands what we need them to do. What exactly would we need them to do? Dr. Patel asked. Sarah smiled. We're going to ask Earth to send Santa Claus to the Seraphim homeworld. The silence that followed was broken only by the soft hum of the ship's life support systems. Finally, Torres spoke up. Captain, you realize how insane this sounds, right? We're going to call Earth and ask them to coordinate an interstellar Christmas delivery to alien children in a pocket dimension. Yes, that's exactly what we're going to do. Murphy scratched his beard. You know what? I've seen stranger things work in my 40 years of space travel. Count me in. Besides, those kids crying is breaking my heart, and I can hear it through the hull when we're docked. Dr. Patel nodded. The Seraphim are genuinely suffering. If there's even a small chance this could work, we have a medical obligation to try. Torres sighed. Well, if we're all going crazy together, at least we'll have good company. But Captain, what makes you think anyone on Earth will take us seriously? Sarah had been thinking about this since she first heard little Zira's heartbroken question about Santa not being able to find their world. Because, she said, Christmas brings out the best in humanity. And if there's one thing humans are good at, it's making the impossible happen when children are involved. She stood up and moved to the window, looking out at the Seraphim colony ship, where hundreds of alien children were crying themselves to sleep, dreaming of a Santa Claus who didn't know they existed. Murphy, how long would it take you to modify our hyperspace array for dimensional broadcasting? Give me 12 hours and all the coffee on this ship. Torres, I need you to calculate the exact dimensional coordinates of this pocket space. If we're going to guide someone here, they'll need perfect navigation data. On it, Captain. Dr. Patel, I need you to compile everything you can about Seraphim culture and biology. If we're asking Earth to help us, they'll need to understand what they're helping with. As her crew dispersed to their tasks, Sarah remained at the window. In the distance, the purple world of the Seraphim seemed to pulse with a sad light. She could imagine those beautiful children, with their 4 arms and shimmering skin, trying to understand why Santa Claus couldn't find them in their twisted corner of space. She thought about her own childhood Christmases on Earth, the excitement of waking up to find presents under the tree, the joy of believing in something magical. Every child deserved that feeling, she decided. Even alien children lost in a dimensional fold. Don't worry, little ones, she whispered to the distant world. Santa might not know where you are yet, but he's about to get the best navigation data in the galaxy. The next 12 hours passed in a blur of technical modifications and careful calculations. Murphy worked his engineering magic on the hyperspace array while Torres plotted dimensional coordinates that hurt Sarah's brain to look at. Dr. Patel compiled a comprehensive report on Seraphim psychology and the cultural importance of their children's happiness. Finally, everything was ready. Sarah stood on the bridge of the Celestial Dawn, her hand hovering over the communication controls. Once she sent this message, there would be no taking it back. Earth would either think they were insane, or they would witness the most ambitious Christmas delivery in human history. Message ready, Captain, Torres reported. All dimensional coordinates locked in, Murphy added from the engineering station. Xenobiological data compiled and attached, Dr. Patel confirmed. Sarah took a deep breath and opened a channel that would broadcast across multiple dimensions, through the twisted space of the void sector, toward the distant blue marble that had been humanity's cradle. Earth Command, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the trading vessel Celestial Dawn. We are transmitting from coordinates that will not appear on any of your charts in a region known as the Void Sector. We have encountered a species called the Zeraphim, refugees who have been stranded in dimensional space for 200 years. Their children are suffering from what we can only describe as a Christmas crisis, and they need our help. She paused, knowing how incredible her next words would sound. We are requesting immediate assistance in organizing a Christmas delivery to an alien world. The children involved believe in Santa Claus and cannot understand why he cannot find them. Their emotional state is affecting their entire species, and without intervention, they may not survive. Another pause as she looked out at the Zeraphim colony ship, where she knew hundreds of beautiful, heartbroken children were waiting for a miracle they didn't know was coming. Attached to this transmission are the dimensional coordinates of their location, along with complete cultural and biological data about the Zeraphim people. We need someone to play Santa Claus for alien children, and we need them to do it soon. Christmas is in 6 days. She closed the channel and sat back in her captain's chair, suddenly exhausted by the enormity of what she had just attempted. "Think anyone will answer?" Murphy asked. Before Sarah could reply, the communication system crackled to life. The response came faster than should have been possible, as if Earth had been waiting for exactly this kind of impossible request. "Celestial Dawn, this is Admiral Harrison at Earth Command. We received your transmission loud and clear. Stand by for immediate coordination with the Christmas Emergency Response Team." The entire bridge fell silent. "Did he just say Christmas Emergency Response Team?" Torres whispered. Sarah began to laugh, a sound of pure amazement and growing hope. "I think," she said, "we just discovered that Earth has been preparing for exactly this kind of situation." The adventure was just beginning. Admiral Harrison's voice carried an authority that somehow made the impossible seem routine. "Captain Chen, you've just triggered Protocol Christmas 7. We've been preparing for this scenario for 50 years. Sarah exchanged bewildered glances with her crew. "Protocol Christmas 7. The theoretical emergency protocol for extraterrestrial Christmas crisis intervention," the Admiral explained. "It was developed after our first contact with alien species, when our xenopsychologists realized that exposure to human Christmas traditions might create exactly the situation you're describing." Murphy leaned toward the communication console. "You mean Earth has a plan for delivering Christmas to alien children?" "More than a plan, Chief Engineer. We have an entire department dedicated to it. Please stand by while I connect you to Dr. Elizabeth Winters, Director of Xenological Holiday Services." The channel switched and a new voice came through, warm and excited. "Captain Chen, this is Dr. Winters. I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to finally put our protocols into action. We've been studying your cultural reports on the Zeraphim, and their situation is absolutely fascinating from an anthropological standpoint." Dr. Patel stepped forward. "Dr. Winters, this is Dr. Anjali Patel, medical officer and xenobiologist aboard the Celestial Dawn. The emotional symbiosis between Zeraphim adults and children appears to be physiological. If the children don't receive some form of Christmas intervention, the entire species could enter a fatal depression cycle. That matches our preliminary analysis. We're already mobilizing the Santa Protocol team. Captain Chen, we need you to establish a stable dimensional anchor at the Zeraphim location. We're sending the Christmas spirit with our best dimensional navigation crew." Torres looked up from his console with wide eyes. "Captain, there's a ship undocking from Earth Orbital Station 3. Its energy signature is incredible. I've never seen anything like it." On the main display, they watched as a massive vessel separated from Earth's primary space station. The ship was unlike any design Sarah had ever encountered. Its hull seemed to shimmer between red and white, and even through their sensors, it radiated a warmth that defied physics. "The Christmas Spirit," Dr. Winters explained, "is our most advanced dimensional travel vessel. Its crew has been training for interspecies Christmas delivery for decades. They should reach your position in 18 hours. Sarah felt a mixture of awe and disbelief. Dr. Winters, how long has Earth been planning for something like this? Since 2287, when we first encountered the Rigelian children who were traumatized by learning about human birthday parties but couldn't understand why they didn't get them. We realized that human cultural exports could have serious psychological effects on alien children. The Christmas Emergency Response Team was formed after the Senate of Worlds declared that no child, regardless of species, should suffer from holiday-induced despair. Torres was tracking the approaching ship's progress. Captain, their travel time doesn't make sense. They're covering distances that should take weeks in less than a day. The Christmas spirit uses experimental Christmas drive technology, Dr. Winters said. It operates on a principle our scientists call holiday physics. The universe seems to bend its rules when the mission involves bringing joy to children. Murphy snorted. Holiday physics, that's not a real thing. Chief Engineer Murphy, isn't it? Dr. Winters sounded amused. You've been in space for 40 years. Have you ever noticed that ship repairs go faster on Christmas Eve? That impossible mechanical problems somehow solve themselves when children are counting on you. That's holiday physics in action. Sarah watched Murphy's expression change as he considered this. She had noticed those things too, actually. In her 15 years of deep space trading, some of her most miraculous escapes from disaster had happened around Christmas time. While we wait for the Christmas spirit to arrive, we need to begin preparations on the Zeraphim homeworld, Dr. Winters continued. Captain Chen, would you be willing to return to the colony ship and begin cultural integration protocols? What kind of protocols? We need to help the Zeraphim children understand that Santa Claus operates differently in different parts of the galaxy. They need to learn about the special procedures required for dimensional Christmas delivery, and they need to help us understand what their perfect Christmas would look like. 2 hours later, Sarah found herself back aboard the Harmony, sitting in a circle with 50 Zeraphim children. The crying had stopped when she announced that Santa Claus was coming, replaced by an excited babbling that sounded like wind chimes in a thunderstorm. Administrator Kex had assembled the entire colony's children in the central chamber. Their large eyes watched Sarah with wonder as she explained what was going to happen. Santa Claus received your letters, she told them, but the problem isn't that he doesn't want to visit you. The problem is that your world is hidden in a special part of space that his sleigh can't normally reach. Little Zira raised all 4 of her arms. But how did you find us? Because, Sarah said with a smile, sometimes grown-ups need to help Santa with the really difficult deliveries. That's why Earth sent a special ship with a crew trained for dimensional Christmas delivery. Another child, a boy named Kef, looked concerned. But Santa doesn't know what Zeraphim children like. We don't eat cookies and milk. We don't have chimneys. How will he know what gifts to bring? This was exactly the question Sarah had hoped for. That's why we need your help. You're going to teach Santa and his helpers about Zeraphim Christmas traditions. The children exchanged excited glances. One of the older ones, perhaps the equivalent of a human 12-year-old, stood up. We could show them our crystal gardens and teach them about Harmonisong and explain why we give gifts of light instead of wrapped packages. Soon all the children were talking at once, their musical voices creating a symphony of excitement. Sarah watched as the adults around the chamber began to smile for the first time since she'd arrived. The change in the emotional atmosphere was palpable. Administrator Kex, she said quietly, I need to understand something. How exactly does the emotional connection between your adults and children work? Kex's expression grew thoughtful. It's difficult to explain in your language, but we are what you might call an empathically linked species. When our children experience strong emotions, particularly distress, it resonates through our entire community. Their joy brings us joy, their pain brings us pain. It's why we've survived as a species for millions of years. No child ever suffers alone. But that means when they were crying about Christmas, every adult on this ship was experiencing their heartbreak directly. We were all crying, Captain Chen. Our work suffered, our health declined, and our hope began to fade. If their sadness had continued much longer, it would have killed us. Sarah felt a chill as she realized how close the Zeraphim had come to extinction, all because of exposure to human Christmas traditions without the means to participate in them. But now, she asked, watching the excited children planning their Christmas celebrations. Kex's 4 arms gestured toward the children, and his voice filled with wonder. Now we feel their excitement, their anticipation, their pure joy at the thought that Santa Claus is coming to find them. It's like sunlight returning after a long darkness. The children had organized themselves into groups, each one taking responsibility for teaching the incoming Christmas crew about different aspects of Zeraphim culture. Zira's group was going to explain their gift-giving traditions. Kef's group would demonstrate their holiday foods. The older children were preparing presentations about their art and music. "Captain Chen," called one of the children, "what does Santa Claus look like? Our pictures show a big human with white hair, but is that really what he looks like?" Sarah knelt down to address all the children at once. "Well, that's one of the most magical things about Santa Claus. He can look like whatever children need him to look like. When he visits human children, he looks like the Santa in your pictures, but when he visits other species..." She paused, an idea forming. "What do you think Santa should look like when he visits Zeraphim children?" The question sparked intense discussion among the children. Some thought he should have 4 arms like them. Others suggested he should have shimmering skin that changed colors. One imaginative child proposed that Santa should be made of crystallized light. "Maybe," suggested Zira thoughtfully, "Santa looks different to each species because the magic inside him changes to match the children he's visiting. So when he comes to our world, he'll look like the perfect Zeraphim grandfather." The other children loved this idea, and soon they were drawing pictures of what they thought Zeraphim Santa should look like. Sarah collected their artwork, knowing the Christmas crew would want to see these interpretations. As the children worked on their drawings, Sarah received a communication from the approaching Christmas spirit. "Celestial Dawn, this is Captain Nicholas Frost of the Christmas Spirit. We're 6 hours out from your position and requesting cultural briefing data." Sarah almost choked on the name. Captain Nicholas Frost. "Yes, ma'am. I've been preparing for this mission my entire career. My team includes specialists in xenological gift-giving, interspecies holiday music, dimensional wrapping paper deployment, and temporal present synchronization." Temporal present synchronization? Sarah wasn't sure she wanted to know. "The science of ensuring that gifts appear under alien Christmas trees at exactly the right moment, accounting for different planetary rotations, dimensional time dilation, and species-specific celebration timing. It's more complex than you might think." Tors joined the conversation from the Celestial Dawn. "Captain Frost, this is Lieutenant Tors. I'm transmitting the cultural data package now. The Zeraphim children have prepared some special materials for you." "Outstanding. Is there anything specific we should know about their expectations?" Sarah looked around at the working children, their excitement palpable in the air. "They're expecting magic, Captain Frost, real, genuine magic, and they've never been disappointed by adults before." "Roger that, Captain Chen. No pressure at all." The next few hours passed quickly as both ships prepared for what would either be the most successful Christmas delivery in galactic history or the most spectacular failure. The Christmas spirit arrived exactly on schedule, emerging from hyperspace in a burst of red and green light that made the sensor readings dance. The ship was even more remarkable up close. Its hull seemed to shift between solid matter and pure energy, and Sarah could swear she smelled cinnamon and pine needles through her ship's air recyclers when it docked. Captain Frost turned out to be exactly what Sarah had imagined. He was tall and broad, with a magnificent white beard and eyes that twinkled with genuine warmth. His red uniform was decorated with rank insignia that looked suspiciously like snowflakes. "Captain Chen," he said as he stepped aboard the Celestial Dawn, "it's an honor to meet someone willing to risk everything for children she barely knew." "They were crying, Captain Frost. What else could I do?" His smile could have powered a small space station. "That, my dear Captain, is exactly the spirit that makes Christmas magic possible." His crew was equally impressive. Dr. Holly Evergreen, the xenological gift specialist, carried a scanner that somehow identified exactly what each species found most delightful. Engineer Jack Tinsel had developed wrapping paper that could conform to any gift shape and maintain perfect presentation in zero gravity. And Navigator Star Garland could plot courses through dimensional space that would make Tors weep with envy. "The first step," Captain Frost explained as they prepared to visit the Zeraphim colony ship, "is establishing trust with the children. They need to believe that we understand their culture and that we're here specifically for them." When they arrived aboard the Harmony, the children's reaction was everything Sarah had hoped for. They gathered around Captain Frost with wonder, their large eyes taking in every detail of his appearance. "Are you really Santa Claus?" whispered little Zira. Captain Frost knelt down to her level, and Sarah noticed something extraordinary happening. His appearance was subtly shifting, his skin taking on a slight shimmer, his eyes growing larger and more Seraphim-like while maintaining their essential kindness. "I'm Santa's special helper for children who live in the far reaches of space," he told her gently. "Santa wanted to come himself, but his regular sleigh can't travel through dimensional folds, so he sent me and my crew to make sure you have the most wonderful Christmas ever." The children accepted this explanation with the easy faith that all children possess. Soon they were showing Captain Frost and his crew around their ship, explaining their customs and sharing their gift lists. Dr. Evergreen was particularly fascinated by the Seraphim tradition of giving gifts of light, crystalline ornaments that stored happy memories and could replay them when touched. "This is remarkable," she told Administrator Kex. "Human gift-giving focuses on physical objects, but you experiences and emotions. This is going to revolutionize our understanding of interspecies present protocols." Engineer Tinsel was studying the Seraphim ship's architecture, trying to understand how they would normally hang decorations. "We'll need to adapt our delivery systems," he mused. "Traditional chimneys won't work here, but these crystal formations throughout the ship could serve as perfect gift distribution points." Navigator Garland was working with Tors to establish the precise timing for Christmas morning on the Seraphim homeworld. "Their planetary rotation is 31.7 Earth hours," she calculated, "but their cultural Christmas celebration begins at what corresponds to dawn. We'll need to synchronize our delivery for maximum magical impact." As the day progressed, Sarah watched the collaboration between humans and Seraphim with growing amazement. The children taught the Christmas crew their harmony-song traditions, and in return, the crew shared human Christmas carols adapted for Seraphim vocal ranges. Captain Frost gathered everyone together in the evening for what he called Christmas strategy planning. "Tomorrow is Christmas Eve," he announced. "Tonight we establish the Christmas zone around your homeworld. Tomorrow evening we execute Operation Holiday Magic. Are all teams ready?" The children cheered, their musical voices creating a harmony that seemed to make the ship's hull vibrate with joy. The adults smiled with relief and anticipation, their emotional connection to the children filling the entire colony with hope. But Sarah noticed that Administrator Kex still looked worried about something. "What is it?" she asked him quietly. "Captain Chen, there is one thing we haven't told the Christmas crew. Something about our homeworld that might complicate their delivery plans." "What kind of complication?" Kex's four arms gestured toward the viewing ports, where the purple-clouded planet hung in space like a jewel. "Our world is alive, Captain. It's not just a planet. It's a living entity that has been dreaming for the past 200 years. When the Christmas crew tries to enter our atmosphere tomorrow night, they'll be entering the mind of a sleeping god." Sarah stared at him in shock. "You mean the planet itself is conscious?" "Very much so, and it hasn't had pleasant dreams since we arrived. Our sadness, our children's tears, have been feeding into its sleeping mind for weeks now, if the planet doesn't approve of the Christmas delivery." He didn't need to finish the sentence. Sarah understood immediately. They weren't just planning a complicated gift delivery anymore. They were planning to wake up a planetary consciousness on Christmas morning and hope it was in a good mood. She looked around at the excited children, the confident Christmas crew, and the hopeful adults, all preparing for what they believed would be a perfect Christmas celebration. Tomorrow night, they would discover whether the universe itself believed in Christmas magic. The stakes had just become impossibly higher. The revelation about the living planet changed everything. In the emergency meeting aboard the Christmas Spirit, Captain Frost listened to Administrator Kex's explanation with growing concern etched on his weathered features. "The planet's name is Harmony," Kex explained, his four arms moving in graceful patterns as he spoke. "When we first arrived, it welcomed us. We felt its consciousness touch ours, and it seemed pleased to have visitors. But over the past few weeks, as our children's sadness grew stronger, something changed." Dr. Evergreen leaned forward, her scanner picking up readings that made her frown. "What kind of changes?" "The storms have grown worse. The aurora patterns have become chaotic, and in our dreams—" Kex paused, his shimmering skin darkening with worry. "In our dreams, we hear it crying. The planet is experiencing our children's pain as if it were its own." Captain Frost stroked his magnificent beard, his eyes losing some of their usual twinkle. "So when we attempt Christmas delivery tomorrow night, we'll be entering the atmosphere of a planetary consciousness that's currently in the equivalent of emotional distress." "That's correct. And if Harmony perceives us as a threat to the Zeraphim people, or if it doesn't understand what we're trying to do." Sarah finished the thought. "It could destroy our ships before we ever reach the surface." Navigator Garland was studying the sensor readings of the planet below. "Captain, I'm detecting massive electromagnetic fluctuations in the upper atmosphere. The weather patterns aren't just chaotic, they're actively hostile. It's like the planet is trying to keep everything away." Engineer Tinsel looked up from his technical preparations. "We could modify our approach vector, use the dimensional fold to mask our entry, but if the planet itself is opposed to our presence, no amount of technical tricks will help." The room fell silent except for the gentle hum of the ship's systems. Through the observation windows, Harmony hung in space like a brooding purple jewel, its swirling cloud patterns forming shapes that almost looked like a massive, sad face. Captain Frost stood up, his decision made. "We need to talk to the planet." "Talk to it?" Sarah asked. "Is that possible?" "In 50 years of Christmas emergency response, I've learned that everything is possible when children's happiness is at stake," Frost replied. "Dr. Evergreen, do we have any protocols for communicating with planetary consciousness?" "Actually, yes." She consulted her data pad. "Theoretical Protocol Gaia 7, establishing communication with planetary entities for holiday purposes. It's never been tested in the field." "There's a first time for everything. What do we need?" Dr. Evergreen's excitement was visible as she explained. "We'd need to establish a harmonic resonance with the planet's electromagnetic field. Since the Zeraphim are empathically linked to each other, and the planet seems to be empathically linked to them, we might be able to create a three-way communication network." Administrator Kex looked thoughtful. "Our children's harmony song can reach frequencies that affect planetary consciousness. During our first landing, they sang to Harmony, and it responded with beautiful aurora displays." "But they haven't sung like that since they became sad about Christmas," Sarah realized. "Exactly. The planet has only been receiving their sadness and tears. It doesn't understand that joy is coming." Captain Frost's eyes began to twinkle again. "Then we need to teach the planet about Christmas. All of it. The joy, the anticipation, the magic of giving and receiving. The planet needs to understand what we're bringing to its children." The plan they developed was ambitious beyond anything previously attempted in Christmas emergency response. They would create a massive harmonic transmission, combining Zeraphim harmonisong with human Christmas carols and the Christmas spirit's advanced communication systems. The goal was to share not just information with the planet, but actual emotions, the feeling of Christmas morning, the joy of giving perfect gifts, the warmth of family gatherings. The first step was getting all the Zeraphim children together for a practice session. When Captain Frost explained what they needed to do, little Zira raised all four arms with excitement. "We get to sing to Harmony about Christmas. We can tell the planet why we're happy now." "That's exactly right, sweetheart. But we need to sing together, all of us, with feelings so strong that the planet can't help but understand." The children gathered in the Harmony's main chamber, their voices joining in songs they had learned from the Christmas crew mixed with their own traditional harmonies. The sound was unlike anything Sarah had ever heard. Human melodies adapted for Zeraphim vocal ranges, creating harmonies that seemed to make the very air shimmer with joy. But it wasn't enough. The planet's consciousness was too deep, too vast to be reached by voices alone. "We need amplification," Navigator Garland realized. "The Christmas spirit's communication array could boost the signal, but we'd need perfect synchronization between three different sources: the children's voices, our equipment, and the planet's natural frequency." "How do we find the planet's natural frequency?" Engineer Tinsel asked. Administrator Kex gestured toward the observation windows. "We've been listening to it for 200 years. Every storm, every aurora, every tremor in the ground, they all follow the same underlying rhythm. Harmony has a heartbeat." Dr. Patel, who had been quietly studying the readouts, suddenly looked up with excitement. I know that frequency. It matches the base harmonic of Seraphim emotional resonance. The planet isn't just empathically linked to your people, it's synchronized with them on a quantum level. Which means, Captain Frost said with growing understanding, if we can get the children to sing in perfect harmony with their own emotional frequencies and amplify that through our systems, we create a direct communication link to a planetary consciousness, Dr. Evergreen finished. It's never been done before, but the theoretical framework is sound. Theoretical framework is my favorite kind, Murphy commented over the communication link from the Celestial Dawn. Captain Chen, you realize this is either going to be the most beautiful first contact in galactic history, or it's going to wake up a very cranky planet that might decide we're all trespassers. Sarah looked out at Harmony, watching its storm patterns swirl with what now seemed like obvious distress. The children need their Christmas, Murphy, and the planet needs to understand that we're here to help, not harm. The next 18 hours were spent in intensive preparation. The children practiced their harmony songs until they could sing in perfect unison with their planet's heartbeat. The Christmas crew calibrated their equipment to boost and transmit emotional resonance along with audio signals. The adults prepared themselves for what might be the most important conversation their species had ever had. Christmas Eve arrived with a spectacular aurora display over Harmony's surface. Great sheets of purple and silver light that danced across the planet's atmosphere in patterns that almost looked like reaching hands. It knows something is happening, Kex observed. The aurora patterns are different, more hopeful. Time to find out, Captain Frost announced. All stations prepare for Operation Christmas Contact. The children took their positions in the Harmony's main chamber, their excitement palpable in the air around them. The Christmas crew manned their stations aboard the Christmas Spirit, and Sarah's crew monitored from the Celestial Dawn as backup. Beginning harmonic scan, Navigator Garland reported. I'm detecting the planet's base frequency. It's beautiful, Captain, like a lullaby that's been playing for millions of years. Children, can you hear it? Captain Frost asked over the communication link. Little Zira nodded, her large eyes glowing with wonder. We can feel it. Harmony is singing to us. Then sing back. Sing about Christmas, about joy, about love. Sing so that Harmony understands that happiness is coming to its children. The Seraphim children began to sing, their voices weaving together in harmonies that made Sarah's heart ache with their beauty. But this time, their song was different. Instead of the sad crying that had filled the ship for weeks, their voices carried pure joy, anticipation, and love. Amplification engaged, Engineer Tinsel reported, boosting signal strength, now transmitting on all frequency bands. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The aurora patterns over Harmony's surface exploded into new configurations, swirls of gold and red and green light that danced in perfect synchronization with the children's voices. The storm systems that had been raging for weeks suddenly calmed, revealing clear skies over vast crystal formations that caught and reflected the new auroras. Contact established, Dr. Evergreen breathed. I'm reading massive electromagnetic resonance patterns. The planet it's responding to the children's emotions. Through their communication array, they began to receive something that could only be described as a voice, not words, but emotions and images and sensations that their brains translated into understanding. Sadness, pain, children crying, why do they hurt? The children, sensing the planet's confusion, changed their song to include explanations. Through harmonies that carried meaning beyond words, they told Harmony about Christmas, about Santa Claus, about the joy of giving and receiving gifts. Christmas, celebration, joy for children, Santa Claus brings happiness. The planetary response was like sunrise after a long night. Waves of understanding and excitement rippled through the electromagnetic field, and the aurora displays became so brilliant that they were visible through the dimensional fold, lighting up the entire void sector. Understanding, happiness coming, children will sing with joy, welcome Christmas visitors. Captain Frost wiped tears from his eyes as he felt the planet's consciousness embrace the concept of Christmas with the enthusiasm of a child learning about it for the first time. Harmony understands, he announced to both crews. The planet wants Christmas to come to its children. It's not just giving permission for the delivery, it wants to help. The transformation of Harmony was visible to everyone. The storms cleared completely, revealing a world of crystal mountains and singing rivers that reflected the dancing lights in the sky. The three small moons aligned in perfect formation above the main continent, creating a natural spotlight on the Zeraphim settlement areas. The planet is preparing itself for Christmas, Navigator Garland reported with wonder. I've never seen atmospheric conditions this perfect for gift delivery. All teams, this is Captain Frost. We are go for Operation Holiday Magic. Santa's coming to Harmony tonight. The children's excitement was infectious, spreading through the empathic link to every adult Zeraphim and somehow resonating with the planet itself. The entire world seemed to pulse with anticipation. But as the Christmas spirit prepared for its delivery run, Sarah noticed something unexpected on her sensors. Captain Frost, you're not the only ones heading for Harmony's surface. What do you mean, Captain Chen? Sarah checked her readings twice before believing them. There are other ships approaching from the edge of the system. Multiple contacts, different configurations. Captain, I think word has gotten out about what we're doing here. On the main display, they could see them. 7 ships of varying sizes and designs, all converging on Harmony from different directions. As they drew closer, Sarah could identify their origins. A Rigelian science vessel, an Altarian diplomatic ship, a Centauri trade clipper, and 4 other vessels representing species that Sarah recognized from her years of deep space trading. This is Commander Vex of the Rigelian vessel Scientific Wonder, came a transmission. We detected the dimensional resonance patterns and came to investigate. Are you really delivering Christmas to alien children? Before Captain Frost could respond, more transmissions flooded their communication channels. This is Ambassador Thel of the Altarian Diplomatic Corps. We've studied human Christmas traditions and would like to observe this historic first contact celebration. Trade Captain Zeph here. My crew has children aboard, and they're very excited about the idea of meeting Santa Claus. Captain Frost, Sarah said quietly, it looks like Christmas is about to become a galactic event. Through the observation windows, they could see more ships arriving at the edge of the system, vessels from a dozen different species, all drawn by the unprecedented dimensional resonance of a planet celebrating its first Christmas. Captain Frost considered for a moment, then activated the general communication channel. Attention all vessels, this is Captain Nicholas Frost of Earth's Christmas Emergency Response Team. You are welcome to observe Christmas delivery operations, but please maintain safe distances from Harmony's surface during gift deployment. This is, after all, a night that belongs to the children. The responding chorus of agreement from a dozen different species filled the communication channels with warmth and goodwill that transcended language barriers. Well, Captain Frost said to his crew, it looks like the Zeraphim children are going to have the most well-attended Christmas in galactic history. As the Christmas spirit began its descent toward Harmony's surface, followed by the fascinated observation of representatives from across known space, Sarah realized that something extraordinary was happening. What had started as a rescue mission for crying alien children had become something much larger, the first truly interspecies Christmas celebration. The children aboard the Harmony were beside themselves with excitement as they watched the approaching ships through the observation ports. Look, Zira, little Kef pointed to the diverse fleet surrounding their world. Children from other species came to see our Christmas. Do you think, Zira asked with wonder, that Santa Claus will visit all of them too? Captain Frost's voice came over the communication system, warm with laughter. Well, sweetheart, I think Santa's about to have a very busy night. Christmas has a way of spreading, especially when children are involved. Down on Harmony's surface, the Zeraphim settlements were glowing with excitement. The crystal formations that served as their homes pulsed with light in rhythm with the planet's heartbeat, creating a landscape that looked like a fairy tale made real. Final descent to Harmony's surface beginning now, Navigator Garland announced. All gift deployment systems are green. Children of Harmony, Santa Claus is coming to town. The aurora displays above the planet exploded into new patterns, shapes that looked unmistakably like sleighs and reindeer, as if Harmony itself was welcoming the Christmas tradition to its surface. As the Christmas spirit touched down in the main Zeraphim settlement, Sarah knew they had accomplished something unprecedented. They hadn't just delivered Christmas to alien children, they had created the first truly universal celebration of hope and joy. The hardest part was over. Now came the magic. Christmas morning on Harmony dawned unlike any other in galactic history. The planet's 3 moons hung in perfect alignment, casting a silver glow across crystal cities that sparkled like jewels in the morning light. The aurora displays had transformed overnight into gentle ribbons of gold and red that danced through the purple-tinged sky, and every Zeraphim child on the surface was wide awake before their parents, trembling with excitement. Aboard the Harmony, the children had barely slept. Little Zira pressed her face against the observation port, watching the diverse fleet of ships that now surrounded their world like a protective constellation. "Mama Kess," she called to one of her caregivers, "look how many friends came to see our Christmas." The scene around Harmony was unprecedented in galactic history. 17 ships from 12 different species maintained respectful distances from the planet, while their crews observed what many were already calling the Great Christmas Contact. Diplomatic vessels, scientific research ships, and trade vessels had all been drawn by the dimensional resonance of a planet experiencing its first Christmas celebration. Captain Frost stood in the main gift deployment bay of the Christmas spirit, surrounded by presents unlike any Santa's workshop had ever produced. Dr. Evergreen and her team had worked through the night, consulting with Zeraphim cultural experts to create gifts that honored their traditions while incorporating the magic of Christmas. "Status report, Dr. Evergreen?" Frost asked, adjusting his red coat that now shimmered with the same ethereal quality as Zeraphim's skin. "All gifts prepared and culturally verified," she replied, her scanner humming as it did final checks on each package. "The children requested gifts of light and memory, so we've created crystalline ornaments that store human Christmas experiences. Snow falling, children laughing, families gathering around trees. Each one is unique and will resonate with their harmonic frequencies." Engineer Tinsel gestured to a special section of the cargo bay. "We've also prepared traditional gifts adapted for Zeraphim physiology, books with pages that sing when touched, art supplies that create 4-dimensional sculptures, and musical instruments designed for their 4-armed anatomy." Navigator Garland looked up from her delivery calculations. "Captain, we have a slight complication. The observing vessels are maintaining safe distances, but their children are all awake and watching our operations. Some of them are asking their parents why Santa isn't visiting their ships." Captain Frost stroked his beard thoughtfully. "What species are we talking about?" "Let's see. Rigelian children aboard the Scientific Wonder, young Altarians on their diplomatic vessel, a family of Centauri traders with 3 children, and at least 4 other species with minors aboard." Through the communication system, they could hear excited voices in a dozen different languages, as alien children watched the Christmas preparations with wonder and growing hope. Dr. Evergreen consulted her emergency protocols data pad. "Captain, Regulation Christmas 12 states that when Christmas operations are observed by children of other species, every effort should be made to include them in the celebration." "But we don't have gifts prepared for non-Zeraphim children," Engineer Tinsel pointed out. Captain Frost's eyes twinkled with the special light that appeared whenever he was solving an impossible problem. "Who says Santa only brings physical gifts? The greatest gift we can give those children is the knowledge that Christmas magic crosses all species barriers." He activated the general communication channel, addressing all the ships surrounding Harmony. "Attention all vessels with children aboard, this is Santa's Christmas Emergency Response Team. We understand that your young ones are curious about today's celebrations. With permission from their parents and ship captains, we'd like to include them in our Christmas broadcast." The response was immediate and enthusiastic. Captain Zeph of the Centauri Trade Clipper was the first to respond. "My children would be honored, Captain Frost. They've been asking about Christmas traditions since we detected your operations." One by one, the other ships confirmed participation. Soon, children from across known space were watching their communication displays as Captain Frost explained what was about to happen. "Children of all species listening today," he began, his voice carrying the warmth that made him perfect for his job. "Today you're going to witness something that has never happened before. You're going to see Christmas come to an alien world for the first time. And by watching, by sharing in the joy of the Zeraphim children, you become part of the Christmas magic yourselves." Down on Harmony's surface, the Zeraphim settlements were buzzing with activity. Families gathered around their crystal formations, which served as their equivalent of Christmas trees. The adults had worked through the night, following the instructions transmitted by the Christmas crew to prepare their homes for the morning celebration. Administrator Keck stood in the main settlement square, watching as the Christmas spirit prepared for its final descent. Around him, hundreds of Zeraphim adults waited with their children, their empathic connection carrying waves of anticipation and joy that seemed to make the very ground shimmer. "All families ready for Christmas morning activation," he reported to Captain Frost. "The children have been asking when Santa will arrive every few minutes for the past hour." "Tell them," Captain Frost replied, "that Santa always arrives at exactly the right moment, beginning final descent now." The Christmas spirit descended through Harmony's atmosphere like a shooting star made of red and green light. As it landed in the main settlement, something extraordinary happened. The ship's hull began to reshape itself, flowing like liquid metal until it had transformed into something that looked remarkably like a traditional Christmas workshop, complete with candy cane-striped pillars and windows that glowed with warm yellow light. The children gasped in wonder as Captain Frost emerged from the transformed ship, his appearance now perfectly adapted for Zeraphim vision. His skin held a subtle shimmer, his eyes had grown larger and more expressive, and his forearms, yes, forearms now, carried gifts that sparkled with internal light. "Ho, ho, ho," he called out in a voice that somehow harmonized with the planet's own frequency. "Have the children of Harmony been good this year?" The response was a chorus of excited affirmations that created such beautiful harmonies that several of the observing ship crews applauded over the communication channels. What followed was the most magical gift distribution in Christmas history. Each Zeraphim child received presents specifically created for their species, crystalline memory ornaments that allowed them to experience human Christmas traditions firsthand, musical instruments that could be played with all four arms simultaneously, and art supplies that created sculptures made of pure light. But the real magic happened when little Zira opened her special gift. Inside a box made of crystallized starlight was a communications device that connected her directly to the bridge of the Christmas spirit. "Hello, Zira," came a familiar voice. "This is Dr. Winters from Earth." Zira's eyes grew wide. "Are you Santa's helper too?" "Yes, sweetheart, and I have something very special to tell you. Because you and your friends helped us understand how to bring Christmas to other species, you've started something wonderful. Ships from all over the galaxy came to watch your Christmas, and now their children want to have Christmas celebrations too." Through the device, Zira could hear the voices of alien children from the observing vessels, all talking excitedly about what they had witnessed. "Does this mean," Zira asked with wonder, "that Christmas will spread to other worlds?" "It means," Captain Frost said, appearing beside her with his four arms full of additional gifts, "that you've helped Christmas become truly universal. Every species that watched your celebration today will carry the idea back to their homeworlds. Next year, children all across the galaxy might be hanging stockings and singing Christmas carols in their own languages." The celebration continued throughout the day, with humans and Zeraphim sharing traditions, stories, and songs. The observing ships maintained their positions, their crews documenting everything for their respective governments and scientific institutions. But the most remarkable moment came when little Kef, the boy who had been so worried about Santa not knowing what Zeraphim children liked, made an announcement that left everyone speechless. "Captain Frost," he said, his musical voice carrying clearly through the settlement, "we want to give Christmas a gift too." "What kind of gift, Kef?" The boy gestured to his friends, and together the Zeraphim children began to sing. But this wasn't their traditional harmony song. This was Silent Night, adapted for Zeraphim vocal ranges, creating harmonies that were so beautiful they made the crystal formations around them ring in sympathy. The song was broadcast to all the observing vessels, and soon children from a dozen different species were trying to sing along in their own languages. The result was a galactic chorus that created such powerful harmonic resonances that even harmony itself seemed to sing along, its aurora displays pulsing in rhythm with the music. Aboard the Celestial Dawn, Sarah wiped tears from her eyes as she listened to the impossible symphony of interspecies Christmas carols. "Murphy," she called to her chief engineer, "are you getting recordings of this?" "Every frequency, every harmonic, every note," he replied, his gruff voice thick with emotion. This is going into the archives as the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in 40 years of space travel. Dr. Patel was documenting the event from a xenobiological perspective, but she paused in her work to simply listen. The harmonic frequencies they're creating together should be mathematically impossible, she murmured. It's as if their combined voices are creating new laws of physics based on shared joy. As the day progressed, something unprecedented began to happen. The children from the observing vessels started requesting permission to visit Harmony's surface to meet the Zeraphim children in person. After careful consultation between ship captains and diplomatic protocols, small shuttles began landing in the main settlement. Soon, alien children of multiple species were playing together in Harmony's crystal parks, sharing gifts, teaching each other their traditional games, and creating the first truly interspecies children's celebration in galactic history. Commander Vex of the Rigelian vessel sent a special transmission to Earth Command. This is Commander Vex reporting on the Christmas contact event. We have witnessed the birth of what can only be described as universal childhood joy. The diplomatic implications are staggering. These children are forming friendships that could shape interspecies relations for generations. Ambassador Thel of the Altarian Diplomatic Corps was equally impressed. The emotional resonance created by this celebration is being detected by our sensors at distances that should be impossible. It's as if joy itself has become a form of faster-than-light communication. But for Captain Frost and his crew, the real success was measured in simpler terms. Every child was smiling. As Harmony's sun set on Christmas Day, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold that perfectly complemented the dancing auroras, the children gathered one final time in the settlement square. Zeraphim children stood alongside young Rigelians, Altarians, Centaurus, and half a dozen other species, all holding hands in a circle that represented something entirely new in galactic history. Little Zira stood up, her forearms raised toward the star-filled sky. Santa Claus found our world, she announced to the universe, and now Christmas will never be lost again. The cheer that went up from the gathered children was heard across all communication channels, carried by every ship present back to their homeworlds, and recorded for posterity as the moment when Christmas became truly universal. But as beautiful as the day had been, none of them were prepared for what would happen next. The greatest magic was still to come. 3 months after Christmas on Harmony, Captain Sarah Chen sat in her quarters aboard the Celestial Dawn, reading reports that defied everything she thought she knew about the galaxy. The aftermath of the Great Christmas Contact, as historians were already calling it, had created ripple effects that continued to spread across known space like a wave of pure joy. Her communication system chimed with an incoming transmission from Earth Command. Captain Chen, this is Admiral Harrison. I hope you're prepared for some rather extraordinary news. Sarah activated the video link, noting that the Admiral looked both amazed and slightly overwhelmed. More extraordinary than delivering Christmas to an empathically linked alien species on a living planet, sir. Much more extraordinary, I'm afraid. Captain, what you started on Harmony has fundamentally changed the nature of interspecies relations across the galaxy. We're getting reports from every major trade route, every diplomatic station, and every colony world. Christmas is spreading, Captain, and it's spreading fast. The Admiral activated a star map that showed the current status of Christmas celebrations across known space. Sarah stared in wonder as hundreds of systems lit up with indicators showing active Christmas preparations. The Rigelians have declared December 25th an official planetary holiday, Admiral Harrison continued. They're calling it Day of Interspecies Joy. The Altarian Diplomatic Corps has established Christmas as a standard cultural exchange protocol, and the Centauri Trade Federation has made Christmas decorations one of their most popular export items. That's incredible, Sarah managed, but surely not everyone. Captain, we've received formal requests for Christmas emergency response team assistance from 47 different species. The Andromedan Council wants to establish Christmas as a galactic peace initiative. And perhaps most remarkably, the Zeraphim have volunteered to serve as Christmas cultural ambassadors to any species that requests guidance. Sarah thought about little Zira and her friends, those beautiful children whose tears had started this entire adventure. How are the Zeraphim doing? Admiral Harrison's expression softened. See for yourself. The transmission switched to a live feed from Harmony, and Sarah gasped at what she saw. The planet's surface was covered in crystal formations that pulsed with warm, golden light. Beautiful structures that looked like a fusion of Christmas trees and Seraphim architecture dotted the landscape, and the aurora displays had become a permanent feature, dancing across the sky in patterns that suggested joy and celebration. The planet itself has been transformed, the Admiral explained. According to our xenobiological teams, Harmony absorbed so much positive emotional energy during the Christmas celebration that it's literally become a world of perpetual joy. The Seraphim report that their children haven't cried a single unhappy tear since Christmas morning. The image shifted to show Administrator Kex standing in what appeared to be a newly constructed building. Sarah was amazed to see that his appearance had changed. His skin now held a permanent warm glow, and his movements seemed lighter, as if gravity affected him less. "Captain Chen," Kex said, his musical voice carrying across the communication link, "I wanted to thank you personally for what you've given us. Our people have experienced a transformation that we never thought possible. The children, they sing constantly now, and their joy feeds back into our entire society and into Harmony itself." "I'm so glad," Sarah replied. "How is little Zira?" Kex's expression brightened even further. "Perhaps you should ask her yourself. She's become something of a celebrity among the children of various species. She and her friends have been teaching Christmas traditions to visitors from across the galaxy." The image switched again, showing a group of children from at least 6 different species working together to decorate what appeared to be an enormous Christmas tree made of living crystal. At the center of the group, her 4 arms moving gracefully as she directed the decoration placement, was Zira. But something about the little Seraphim girl had changed. She seemed to glow with an inner light that made her appear almost ethereal, and when she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that seemed to make the very air around her shimmer. "Captain Chen," Zira waved all 4 arms enthusiastically when she noticed the communication link. "Look what we're building. It's a Christmas tree that can be seen from space, so that any lost children will know that Christmas is here waiting for them." Sarah felt her eyes fill with tears. "It's beautiful, Zira. How are you feeling?" "Oh, Captain Chen, I feel like I'm made of starlight and music," Zira laughed, a sound like crystal bells in a gentle wind. "Ever since Christmas morning, everything feels magical, and guess what? We've been helping other children understand Christmas, and every time we do, we feel even more wonderful." The communication switched back to Admiral Harrison, who was studying Sarah's expression with interest. "Captain, there's something else you need to know. The dimensional resonance created during the Christmas celebration has had unexpected effects on the children who participated. Not just the Seraphim children, but the young ones from other species who were present." "What kind of effects?" "They seem to have developed what our scientists are calling Christmas consciousness, an enhanced ability to create joy and spread happiness wherever they go. Children from the observing vessels have returned to their homeworlds and spontaneously started Christmas celebrations that are transforming entire planets." Sarah leaned back in her chair, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what she was hearing. "You're telling me that Christmas has become some kind of contagious force for galactic peace?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you, Captain, and it gets stranger. We've detected dimensional anomalies appearing near systems where Christmas celebrations are taking place. It's as if the celebration itself is creating doorways between distant parts of the galaxy." The Admiral paused, consulting his notes. "Captain, we've received a very special request. The Galactic Council wants to meet with you, Captain Frost, and the Seraphim representatives to discuss establishing Christmas as an official pan-galactic holiday. They're calling it the most significant cultural development in recorded history." Before Sarah could respond, her communication system chimed with another incoming transmission. This one was marked with the highest priority codes she'd ever seen. "Captain Chen," came a voice she didn't recognize. "This is Director Chen Li of the Galactic Xenocultural Research Institute. We have a situation that requires your immediate attention." "What kind of situation?" "We've detected Christmas celebrations appearing in systems we've never had contact with before. Species that have never interacted with humans or any of the known galactic civilizations are somehow developing Christmas traditions independently. It's spreading faster than any form of communication we know of." Sarah felt a chill of wonder run down her spine. "How is that possible?" "We think," Director Chen Li said carefully, that Christmas has become something more than a cultural tradition. Our theoretical xenopsychologists believe it's evolved into what we can only describe as a universal language of joy, a form of communication that transcends species barriers and operates on quantum emotional frequencies. A new voice joined the communication, one that made Sarah's heart race with recognition. Captain Chen, this is Dr. Winters. I'm aboard the Christmas Spirit with Captain Frost, and we're currently investigating reports of spontaneous Christmas celebrations in the Magellanic Clouds. What we're finding is, well, it's magical in the most literal sense. Dr. Winters, where exactly are you? We're orbiting a planet inhabited by a species called the Christine. They're silicon-based life forms who have never had contact with any carbon-based species. But Captain, they've built perfect replicas of Christmas trees using their own crystalline bodies, and their children are singing songs that are unmistakably Christmas carols, despite having no possible way to know about them. Captain Frost's familiar voice joined the conversation. Captain Chen, we've documented 17 different species across 3 galactic sectors who have independently developed Christmas traditions. The phenomenon is spreading faster than light itself. Sarah stood up and walked to her observation window, looking out at the stars that suddenly seemed filled with infinite possibility. What does this mean? She asked. What have we done? You've given the galaxy a gift, came a new voice, little Zira, who had somehow joined the communication from Harmony. You showed us that children everywhere deserve joy, and now that joy is finding its own way to children who need it. Dr. Winter's voice carried a note of scientific wonder. Our working theory is that the emotional resonance created during the Great Christmas Contact created a kind of quantum entanglement between the consciousness of children across the galaxy. When one group of children experiences pure joy, it creates sympathetic responses in other young minds, regardless of distance or species barriers. It's the Christmas quantum effect, Admiral Harrison added, and apparently it's unstoppable. Tor's voice came from the bridge of the Celestial Dawn. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the edge of the galaxy. You're not going to believe this. Patch it through, Tors. The communication system filled with a sound unlike anything Sarah had ever heard. Thousands of voices singing in perfect harmony, creating music that seemed to make the stars themselves twinkle brighter. This is the combined children's choir of the Andromeda Contact Fleet, came a translation overlay. We are children from 37 different species, and we have come to your galaxy because we heard the Christmas music in our dreams. We want to learn how to celebrate Christmas on our worlds, too. Sarah sat down heavily, overwhelmed by the cosmic scope of what had begun with crying alien children who missed Santa Claus. Captain Chen, Admiral Harrison said gently, I need to ask you something important. The Galactic Council wants to offer you a position as the first director of intergalactic Christmas operations. Your mission would be to help coordinate Christmas celebrations across multiple galaxies, ensuring that no child anywhere in the universe is ever again left out of the magic. Sarah looked around her quarters on the